Hello and welcome back to another Slay the Spire stream. I'm your host, Vegetablebread, and today we're going to be kicking off our Ascension 20 heart runs with the Defect. I've also got a spicy listicle prepared. People want to use the listicle command. We get a random rare card, random common relic. Hey Wazbek. Curse for a choose a rare card or boss relic swap. Boss relic swaps are pretty attractive on Defect. Oh shoot, those ads. Cracked Core doesn't end up doing a ton on Defect. For most late game defects, Cracked Core ends up being like 8 damage on turn 1, which is like, not much. Morning, Monty Python. And that sort of assumes that you're like evoking, or channeling, like at least 3 orbs on turn 1, which is not always the case. Sometimes it's like, 6 damage over the first 2 turns, and then 8 damage, but still, like, against the heart, that's like 14 damage. It's just not nearly as impactful as a boss relic is. So that's usually the pick here. Which do I prefer, veggie or bread? I don't really have a preference. People use veg a lot. Mr. Bread, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't have a preference. Veggie's fine. I feel like I might be misrepresenting myself on the internet. I've worried about this a little bit, because came up with the name Vegetablebread, thought it was fun, but then, am I misrepresenting myself as a vegetarian? I don't know. It's not really it's not my lifestyle. I eat meat. Curse for a rare card is pretty nice, too. We could get there's a number of really good rare cards. Biased Cognition, Echo Form, Creative AI, even like Hyper Beam, or Meteor Strike could be appropriate. Meteor Strike is a little bit... I don't really like taking speculative Act 1 Meteor Strikes. Oh no, is it... Yeah, is it? I guess it's going to be hard for me to get the Google juice for Vegetablebread. I think I have, vegetablebreadgames.com. Definitely don't have vegetablebread.com. Yeah. So I have Vegetablebread Games. But it's just parked until I put something on it. That's true, Spirit Sparrow. Hades is not perfect. I have a number of criticisms, all prepared and hidden safely behind the listicle command. I don't want to oversell my my distaste for Hades. I've been playing a lot of it recently. I think it's probably roguelike of the year for sure, unless something crazy happens in Q4. So let's just do boss relic swap. Listicle, the first thing... Okay, so the first thing is my biggest criticism of Hades. This is my number one problem with Hades. There's a number of problems. This really ripples through the whole game design, and it's a clash of promises. It's an unsolvable problem that they've created for themselves by positioning themselves as both a roguelike and an RPG. So there's a really good reason why these are incompatible. Fundamentally, the roguelike format where you do a run, die, restart, learn something, get better at the game, try again, is compromised by the most fundamental part of RPGs, which is the progression. So any type of metagame progression, in the context of Hades, that means dark orbs, relationships with people, keepsakes, companions. I'm not sure if I said mirror buffs already, but definitely mirror buffs is the main one. Any sort of that kind of progression really compromises the core die, learn, try again loop, because, okay, so the first time you play Hades, you probably, maybe make it to the Act 1 boss. No, it's not an issue of spreading too thin. It's a fundamental conflict. So you maybe make it to the boss, and you're like, oh, okay, I see what the boss's pattern is, right? She does a little setup animation. She telegraphs, and then she charges towards you, right? So when I see her telegraph, I need to not be in the direction she's charging, right? Pretty simple. She probably kills you anyway, because you're, like, not very powerful. And then you go back there, and you fight her again, you've, like, learned her pattern, so you beat her this time, right? But eventually, you accumulate so many, like, darkness orbs that you're like, what is even the point of this boss fight? Like, it's so trivial. Like, I had a run this morning where I killed her with taking no damage. It was like, not only did I know her pattern, but also just, like, I was way too powerful, right? Like, all my god buffs were, like, rare or, like, epic, because I've got mirror bonuses, and, like, I came into the fight with full health, because I, like, get healing whenever I pick up dark orbs, and all kinds of crazy upgrades that are available to you after you play the game a little bit. And it's just, it's not fun to do Tartarus anymore, because, like, I've progressed to the point where, like, that's not a challenge. So I just have to, like, it's just a time sink where I have to grind my way through Tartarus, and I have to, like, you know, sort through the UIs and make sure I'm setting myself up for the right, like, duo boons later. But it's all, like, due to this core conflict where they're trying to say, hey, this is a roguelike. It's going to be hard, you're going to die over and over, you're going to get better, and you're going to get past the parts that used to kill you. But they're also saying, but just like, this is also an RPG, so your character just gets stronger. And the character getting stronger washes out all the roguelike stuff. Like, you don't, your learnings are meaningless beside the power of your upgrades. And that's like a really big problem for me. Alright, let's do this boss relic swap. Oh, baby, we got Blackstar. Blackstar, I think, is my number 2 best outcome from boss relic swaps, behind Pandora's Box. Pandora's Box is super, super good. We have a 4 elite path here. We can hit him, then him, then him, then her. This one's going to be female. Just felt kind of self-conscious about my consistent elite gendering. We could also do these 2 and then these 2. That also works. Those paths are roughly equivalent. I think we're going to start here because we want 3 fights rather than 4 fights before the first elite. Although this one has 4 fights in a shop. But I think 3 fights and 2 question marks is probably what we want. Probably won't be able to do all 4 elites, considering that 3 of them in a row are with no rests in between. But it's possible that this Blackstar gives us, like, a fossilized helix and something else really good. Symbiotic virus or something on the first elite, and then we can. Alright, cultist up first. One of the downsides of not having a cracked core is it is pretty useful to have a lightning orb on, like, floor 1. Not quite able to get lethal there. It's going to cost us 6 health. Ouch. Sweeping Beam's a great floor 1 pickup. Makes us a lot better against sentries. Oof. So this first question mark was a fight, so we are going to have 4 fights before the first elite. It's possible we should consider skipping the first elite, since we're pretty sure we're not getting 4, and we can trade it for a fire. Thanks for the follow, Geodesy. Welcome to the Vegetable Patch. You know, I haven't actually played Undermine, so I guess I should, Also, Spelunky 2 comes out this year, so... Or it comes out today? Just came out? Something like that? So, Roguelike of the Year is kind of a hotly contested title. Let's try to draw a Defend. Nope. Darn. I guess we'll develop a Zap and take a bunch of damage. Okay, so we're definitely not fighting 4 elites here. So we just took 14 to our second hallway fight. It's kind of brutal. Maybe we are. Regen pot's really good. If we want to fight 4 elites, we need to take a Cold Snap here. I have never... I played Spelunky 1 for like an hour total. I have not played very much Spelunky. I would play Spelunky 2 on stream, but I'm not sure people want to see that. If you want to see that sound off, then I'll do it at the end of the stream. But it would be like me learning the very basics of how to play Spelunky. Genetic algorithm on floor 2 is insane. That's super good. Heat sinks is also the core of a certain archetype. So for me, for Defect, there's a lot of defects that end up being sort of fueled by powers. And there's sort of like 3 green lights sprinkled throughout the game. And if I see any of those green lights, I'm going to do a power build. And those green lights are Birdface Urn, Mummified Hand, and Orange Pellets. If I see any of those, we're going. But in the absence of any of those, I'm not going to pick Heat Sinks. I'm not just going to pick Heat Sinks by itself, especially as the first power. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Maybe if you get offered a Storm Plus, I would consider going without one of those green lights, but... Well, thank you, Monty Python. I don't know if I'd be able to provide, like, interesting content. I think I might just be, like, focusing on Spelunky if I played it. We're gonna grab the Cold Snap. I love Genetic Algorithm. I'd really love to pick it, but I basically just have to pick an attack. We're gonna do 4 hallway fights. Actually, maybe with 4 hallway fights we can afford to pick a GA. Alright, I'll pick GA. Skipping a Cold Snap is a little bit suspicious. Do we drink the regen pot now? I think we're probably hoping to finish this fight before 5 turns are up. Spelunky explaining nothing. Alright, we need to play Genetic Algorithm before the fight ends. Zap is better than Strike. Hey, Merle! Thanks for the subscription, appreciate it. So I've welcomed people to the vegetable patch when they follow. What should I do when people subscribe? Subscribing is like a bigger commitment. A lot of streamers like call out how many months it's been. And like creepily they talk about their like stream baby. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know. Calling out the number I think is a good idea. Just not... Thanks for loafing around with us. Oh, Baylor coming around. See, Baylor knows exactly what streaming's all about. Thanks for loafing around with us. That's adorable. What's the point of Strike versus Sweeping Beam? Well, we draw one of these 3 cards, so if we think these 3 cards are worse than, like, these cards, these 8 cards, the 3 in our hand and the 5 here, then we should play Sweeping Beam. But I think they're better because they have a dual cast in them, so no Strike. Do exercise when one subscribes. Thanks, B-Mod. Good morning. Oh, man. 6 exercise rewards coming in. I had, like, before I decided to write the listicle, I had a little fantasy where I was like, I'm going to get through all my exercise rewards today. Currently, we are plus a lot on the day. I don't think we have enough damage. This 16 plus 6 is 22, plus Zap's 25. It's not enough. So I'll go ahead and just double defend and Zap, since it's hard to get through too much damage this turn. Looks like we did have enough time to drink the regen pot. Okay, the next entry in the listicle... Sorry, I put it up as an exclamation mark, so people are expecting a bot to answer, but in reality, I'm the bot for the listicle. Okay, so my second thing that Hades does wrong is they have 6 weapons when 3 would do. I think that there's some pretty muddy, like, combat design territory, because they don't have enough effects to cover, like, 6 weapons, each of which has an independent Q, many of which have a different effect when you hold down the attack button and an attack, right? So there's like sort of 3 things that weapons have associated with them, and really there's only like 5 or 6 different types of effects. Like they've got like a projectile that you throw, and then like either comes back to you, or you use it again to get it back, or like it's just ammo. And they've got like line attacks and AoE attacks, and that's kind of it. Like, there's little variations on that, but there really isn't design space there for 6 weapons. So, like, for example, a lot of your damage in Hades comes from dash strikes, because, like, you can get boons from, like, Chaos and like Artemis and like your strike bonus applies. So you end up like stacking up a big multiplier on specifically your dash strike, because like your dash strike bonuses apply, but also your strike bonuses apply. And like if you get Poseidon, then your like strike is pushing people back, and you're pushing back like does extra damage, it pushes people into walls, and does extra damage to bosses, and like there's all kinds of stuff that like stacks on your attack. So your dash strike is a huge portion of your damage, but like most of the dash strikes for all the weapons feel exactly the same. Like you dash and you do a big arc of damage in the direction you dash, and it's like, why are these all different weapons? Why can't they have interesting and different dash strikes? Like particularly for the adamant rail, the dash strike is just like totally uninspired. It's just like you dash and shoot, and it's like I'm not sure what I expect exactly, but it's just like, yeah, for both the adamant rail and for the arrow, the bow, it's just like dash strike does nothing basically. It just like charges your attack animation, and yeah, the dash strike feels pretty weird in general. For specifically this spear, and this is like a totally different nitpick, but like I found myself picking the charge ability with the big area, and then you like dash strike and hold charge until people spawn, and then you hit them with it. It's like, it's not really what dash strike means. Just the fact that I dashed before I charged my weapon makes it do more damage, but I'm not actually like actively dashing. It's quite strange. But yeah, I think the fundamental criticism here is that there just isn't enough, there aren't enough mechanics to support the 6 weapons. And like they do have sort of like fun like lore, and I appreciate that they wanted to have like they want to have like a gallery of them. If they only had 3 of them, maybe it wouldn't feel like a gallery. But I don't think the gameplay supports it. Alright, Captain Falcon redeemed a coconut reward, so let me go find that cat. Be right back. Flintlock, you should play Hades, it's great. I recommend it highly, despite the fact that I'm criticizing it now. Coconut was just hiding in plain sight. She's just right there on the couch, just sleeping. I'm sorry to have woken you up, Coconut. Sorry about waking you up. Okay, you want to go on your pillow? You're looking at it. There you go. Let's see if we can find dual cast and lethal. Nope. Fair enough. There's dual cast. Alright, we got there. Early hallway fights did not go well for us. Thunderstrike is here. It's our first rare. It seems like we probably have to pick the Streamline here. Streamline's not as good as Cold Snap, so I feel a little silly for skipping the Cold Snap earlier, but we did pick up a GA for that. Hey, Guitar. Good morning. Ooh, hey, it's a card reward. You just start chunking down those exercise rewards. Oof. You failed to inquire more about my bread yesterday. Turned out pretty well. We just got a new bread knife, which I'm excited to try out. Haven't actually opened it yet, but we've been using just like a cheese knife, and the serrations on it are really small. So it'll be nice to have like an actual big bread knife with like little blades on it. Acoustic. Digital Charmander. So you've redeemed a Talk About X for Hades. I was just talking about Hades. I'm not sure if you were here for that, but I can talk more about Hades. I think Hades is great. I think Hades is probably the roguelike of the year, including Spelunky and stuff. You know what? Because you gave the talk about, I'll summarize the two listicle commands so far and give you a new one. So I'm starting with my criticisms of Hades, which is, appropriately clickbaity, but like doesn't represent necessarily my perspective on the complete picture of the game. My number one criticism is there's a lot of like system dissonance, because they try to be both an RPG game and a roguelike. So you end up with like a roguelike with strong meta progression, and the meta progression really washes out the high difficulty and the like learn by dying nature of roguelikes, which I find quite unsatisfying. I don't like finally mastering a boss and then like a couple of runs later realizing the boss is trivial because my power has ramped up in excess of my learnings. That's frustrating. The second one is I think there's too many weapons in the game. They don't really have enough design space to actually like make interesting differentiations between the 6 weapons. Especially since like all the boss mechanics have to apply to all the weapons together. It's like kind of an unacceptable compromise, because it's like you can't have a specific god weapon interaction really outside of dialogue, because like there's 6 weapons and like 10 gods, so that would just be too like exponential of an interaction to have them all interact with all of the weapons. And if they'd have fewer weapons, they would have been able to focus the sort of design mechanics that they do have onto more interesting interactions. And the next one is there's limited god fantasy, and I think this kind of ties in. What I really want to do when I play Hades a lot of the time is I'm just like, give me all the Zeus upgrades. Just like, I want the heroic one, I want the legendary one, I want 2 of his duos. Just fuck my shit up with like infinite Zeus, right? Like that's what I want. I want to be like dashing around, hitting people with lightning. People hit me, revenge lightning on them. I strike them, lightning, right? I cast lightning. Like what I want is that fantasy of like having the power of Zeus, but the way that they structure the rewards makes it so that you can't get all Zeus rewards. And like you can pick Zeus's like what do they call it, keepsake, and try to in like once per run. I think it might be once per act, but I think it's once per run. Get a guaranteed Zeus boon, but like I don't know. I just and I think this kind of ties in with the weapon thing, where it's like they kind of have to make them the upgrades all like wash out. Yeah, you can force builds. And it's true. You can get the like fated stuff, but like that, that kind of feels like an afterthought, right? Like that's like you've played the game for 400 hours, right? Like now you can finally do the thing you wanted to do, right? It's like that should be first playthrough. It should be like one god is like, you're my dude, and then like a couple other gods are like, hey, do you want a thing, right? Like it should be baked in the pie that like that one god is your like patron for the run, right? And not hidden behind meta progression like 100 hours in. But like, I don't know. They've definitely like, it's a good game and it's got a lot of good features. It's somewhat of a narrow criticism. So you're right that like having the fantasy be somewhat inaccessible does increase some properties of it, right? Like because you want for things to be hard so that when you accomplish them you feel great about it, right? But I don't think that interacting with the god family should be hard. I think the interacting with the god family should be fun and like always in. The thing that should be hard is fighting bosses, not like doing your little item build. Merle, I do disagree. So this listicle starts with the things that are wrong because of clickbait. But I think the game is definitely worth $25, at least to me. I don't know your financial situation. I buy a lot of video games too, so maybe we have different priorities. But yeah, you can put a million hours into it. Not a million, but like you could put 10,000 hours into Hades, and like the value per dollar for $25 is pretty insane. Okay, Curse for Doubt. If we're dodging this elite, which seems like an option, then we're going through 2 question marks. So we could try to remove the question mark, the doubt at one of those question marks. Could be a shop. We've had one fight in a question mark so far. So our shop percentages are going to be like 3 and 4%, not high. And then there's also some events that do it. The cleric event, the purifying fountain. Right, yeah, so it's like, they want you to, so I think the way a lot of modern game players interact with roguelikes is that they play the first time, die, realize that their death is permanent and have to start all the way over, and then quit and never come back, right? So the approach for like Rogue Legacy and Hades and a lot of these modern roguelikes is to give you some meta progression, to be like, okay, you died, that's the bad news. The good news is you get to keep your little darkness orbs. What are they? They're like your darkness tokens. I don't know. So you get your meta progression, and like Hades also like really leans into the like being back at the house is fun part of the game, right? So it's like you died, but you're rewarded with all this like narration and like upgrades and stuff. Like here, have some fun stuff. Like you got further than before. Here's some new stuff, right? Like you got a diamond, you can use it to buy Orpheus, right? But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I forgot what I was talking about. I think no on this. And I think we are going to dodge the elite too. We've still got 3 left. Yeah, I also think that Slay the Spire does a better meta progression. I think the gold standard for roguelike meta progression should be unlocking new content. Not upgrades, no progression, unlocking new content, and unlocking ways to make the game harder, which Hades, to its credit, does. Although they do lock that behind you have to actually win the game first, which seems like a sensible lock. Although the game's very difficult, so... okay, so we've got a golden idol. I would like to upgrade, but I think we need to rest if we're going to go fight 3 elites. Got to do 2 in a row. We are at 34. We do have a regen pot, so maybe we can get away with it. We could upgrade Streamline. I suspect that it is possible to win without the meta progression, but definitely not without having played lots before. Some of the things that make the game more difficult after you've won, which I have not done, just to clarify, I've just looked at the wiki. Some of the things that make the game more difficult are like you can't heal. Definitely, like, they're planning on people being able to make it through the whole game without taking any damage, basically. Oh, wow. The speedruns take 1 death. Yikes. That's not a good sign. Let's go ahead and smith something. I think I believe in the regen pot. Perhaps to my deficit. Ooh, we did get a shop. Maybe we should have taken the energy. Charge battery's good. Flash of steel's good. We could buy both of those. Just barely. That takes exactly all of our money. I have to write down Baylor's. Thanks for loafing around. Before I forget. If we buy charge battery, flash of steel, is the deck ready for elites? Kinda. Can't really buy a potion because our potion slots are full. Thanks for the follow, Willis. 4545. Welcome to the vegetable batch. Um, 28 plus 7 is 35, right? It is. Is there anything else we would rather do at this shop? Card remove is kind of nice, but card remove before 3 Act 1 elites is probably not correct. Yeah, I think I'll just do charge battery flash steel. Ooh, thanks, guitar. Only Tuesday. I mean, come on. Tuesday's one of the 7 days of the week. No better or worse than any of the other ones. Go ahead and proc our GA for the run, develop a or for the fight, and I guess get some energy for next turn. Energy for next turn is pretty good if we draw the whatchamacallit. This card, Streamline Plus. Probably waiting for next turn to wake him up with Streamline Plus Strike Flash of Steel. So I'll keep the Lightning Orb. I'll go ahead and drink the regen pot too. Probably should have drank it last turn. Yeah, early genetic algorithm's real nice. I appreciate that. Ooh, okay. We can get a shuffle here with Flash of Steel Sweeping Beam. There's an argument to not do it because we have a 10% chance of redrawing Streamline immediately, which is our like main source of damage. It increases our chance of drawing Sweeping Beam next turn though. Can't really figure out if this is a net positive or net negative. So if we don't do it, we have a 14 card deck. So we have like a 5 out of 14. Yeah, but how good is the 9 out of 10 versus the 1 out of 10? The 1 out of 10 is pretty bad. Yeah, it's really importantly bad. But the good is pretty good too. So like, okay. So like 5 out of 9, it's super good because we draw it next turn and then we shuffle it immediately. So we could draw it the next 2 turns in a row if we Sweeping Beam. Which is crazy good. 4 out of 9, we don't draw it next turn, and then it actually skips a shuffle. And that's not very good, so I think we're just going to strike. Let's try and draw it again. Okay. I think at least one defend is happening, and then let's see, do we zap? Defend. We defend. Alright, there's a Streamline and Charge Rider, that's always happening. I guess we strike. Alright, ideally we should kill him before we take any more damage. I'm not sure we're going to be able to pull that off. Doesn't look promising. We're going to need like dual cast Streamline Plus. Yeah, we didn't get it. Okay, so we're getting lethal next turn with dual cast no matter what, so we should try and preserve our health. I guess we're just playing cards. Not a good fight. Anchor or Calcum. Wow, the defensive resources are pretty nuts there. Wow, second heat sinks? We could have been really far into heat sinks territory. I think that probably gets us killed, but still. Feels like the deck wants more card draw. With the Streamline Plus, we need to like draw back to that very quickly. I think Streamline's a pretty reasonable pick. The problem with Streamline is we don't have enough orbs. Thanks, Vugo. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the Vegetable Patch. Oh hey, this is Card Award. Should be doing the thing. Down to 12. Alright. Okay, if we're skipping Compile Driver, does that mean we're taking Bullseye? Just doesn't seem like we have very many orbs for either one, right? Because Zap sort of powers up both. Man, maybe we should have taken that Cold Snap. I don't know, Genetic Algorithm's so good, though. I think we just skip here. I think we'll be okay with Orichalcum Anchor. Actually, Orichalcum is never useful in Act 1 Elite fights. I guess it's kind of okay against Sentries, but... Or, sorry, not Orichalcum, Anchor. Orichalcum is very useful against Sentries. Yeah, let's skip. And we can do another Elite, right? 12 health. And then we rest. If it's Gremlin Knob, do we survive? Orichalcum's pretty good against Gremlin Knob, so we take 2 on turn 2, and then 22 on turn 3. Seems like a lot for us being at 12 in all. I don't think we're going to be able to assassinate him before turn 3 either. Yeah, so I think Gremlin Knob kills us, so I think we have to dodge this one, unfortunately. We could just hope for sentries. We have Sweeping Beam and Orc Alchem. Probably win sentries. Yeah, I think we dodge. Meal ticket, huh? There's a shot before this Mega Elite. Yeah, we've only got 67 gold. I don't think we need the shot. Does meal ticket say do the elite? I think it does not. I think it says do the question mark. Okay. This looks losable. Blocking for 10 on turn 1 is pretty massive. Go ahead and charge up the genetic algorithm just to get that out of the way. Sweeping Beam, draw me a block. Draw me a block. Yep, thank you. Oops, restart the fight. I forgot about Orc Alchem. I always do that. I just wanted to get a block. Blocked for -1. Okay. Alright, so we don't do this because it doesn't do anything. I think defend streamline plus is the line. Hopefully we get looter before he escapes. We can with strike, strike, flash of steel, but then we die. Did I block for -1 again? God damn it. Look, look. It's... I'd have no excuse, but look. Okay. Alright, probably should have not double blocked that first turn. Alright, not blocking for -1. So this one is Streamline Strike or Zap? Strike is more targeted. Zap is more damage long term. I think we need to target down looter. Although I guess... See, this is the problem with restarting fights, because I know I draw dual cast next turn. See, but I'm not supposed to know I draw dual cast next turn. Yeah, I think it's strike. Okay. Didn't matter. Streamline gets the kill. There's the cold snap. I was looking for that. Yeah, I mostly just did it to, like, punish myself for knowing that dual cast was the next card. I was like, just so that there's no criticism, right? Like, we have to not do it. Cool-Headed's nice too. Cool-Headed draws cards. Yeah, it helps us draw the streamline. We also have Flash of Steel, so, like, maybe there's some world where we get, like, a Recycle and Sundial and Infinite with Flash of Steel Cool-Head. We do really want card draw. Okay. Alright, definitely resting. I'm hoping we can perfect this fight so that we can get on with our lives. Hey, Dual. Thanks for coming around. You think it's Cold Snap? Interesting. Streamline Sweeping Beam kills the back one, which blocks out, but we can just block out by not killing Fungi Beast, too, or the front one. Let's sweep and see what we draw. It's pretty efficient. Let's just kill him. Very likely to get lethal next turn. Strike, Flash of Steel does it. We actually can't miss that because Cool-Headed draws a card. This is guaranteed. Okay, hey, there's another Cold Snap. Another shot at it. Yeah, okay. It's our 4th damage common, if you count Flash of Steel, which I guess you shouldn't technically because it's an uncommon. Flash of Steel just like also barely counts as a card in the deck. How would I get punished? It was guaranteed. Yeah, let's take a Cold Snap. Alright, this is going to be a focus pot fight, almost for sure. I'm actually going to leave the genetic algorithm. It's stacked up enough now that it's actually like a pretty useful defensive resource. Their first damage scale. What are you talking about? Let's start with Super Beam. Really good damage in this fight. And I guess just double strike. No, the Frost Orb's pretty important. I do want that Frost Orb. 2 Frost Orbs is whatever. It's with the Orc Alchem is infinite block as long as we can kill one of them. So we might actually be able to save the focus spot too. Yeah, but we're not. I mean, nothing in the deck so far says Dark Orbs, right? So like we shouldn't be focused on Dark Orb shenanigans because we don't have any. Definitely, I don't agree with limiting your cycling just to like speculatively get Dark Orbs. That's wrong. Frost Orbs are okay with Dark Orbs. Frost Orbs mainly just scale with focus. But it is true that you don't need to evoke Frost Orbs for them to be good. Do we Dexpot double defend? If we do, we block for 14 plus 2 is 16. It's not bad. If we don't do that, we block for probably 12. It blocks for 4 damage this turn. Probably 4 damage is all it ever blocks for. So I think that's not enough to get out of a deck spot. I'll just double defend zap here. Ooh, good zap target. Alright, so Cold Snap Streamline actually blocks out here and kills the back orbs. That seems like a slam dunk play. And now we can't take damage again. We could literally just press end turn and we'd win the fight without taking any more. But that's boring, so. Oh shoot, I took 1 damage because I'm an idiot. There we go, genetic algorithm, that's the last big thing we had to do. Okay. Second Cold Snap, Boot Sequence, and Hologram. Got lost in the chat before. Your thoughts as a game designer on Slay the Spire allowing save scumming rather than that live saving and making every decision final. As a game designer, I don't like anything that involves save scumming. I think that games should save after every important player action. Just like real life. You can't really stop people from save scumming because they have control of the file system, right? So even if you're saving after everything, they can like they can make a copy of the save from the file system and then like close the game, replace the file, reload the game. So the user does have the power, but I don't know. I think I don't like save scumming. It is convenient in Slay the Spire. I kind of wish there was just a button for it to like restart the fight, so it didn't feel like cheating. Yeah, I think the plan is for my roguelikes is to just save after every action. Right, yeah. Yeah, Into the Breach has some sort of like some neat fictional allowance that lets them do that. I don't really like the Into the Breach approach. I think if you're gonna give me time traveling robots, just like let me time travel. Just let me restart the fight, or restart the turn, and as many times as I need to figure it out. Because it's not really adding anything to like punish you for your second mistake. I don't think that's a strong part of Into the Breach. Although I love Into the Breach, so. Do we pick a hologram here? Hologram streamline? Sure. Our defensive resources are Cool-Headed Cold Snap and Charge Battery. That seems like enough. Doesn't seem like we need the hologram. I almost consider hologram an offensive resource though with streamline, so I can grab it. I also just really like a hologram. Super Beam, save me. I guess we'll hologram the Sweeping Beam. Do it again. Alright, so let's kill the fat gremlins. Oh, the fat gremlin, I guess. Flash Steel kills him. And now we're focused on Wizard. Cool-Headed blocks out. And then strikes start chunking him down. I guess we have to streamline him. Okay. Get that GA proc. I think we're getting a kill this turn, so strength doesn't matter. I don't know why I didn't like Into the Breach, but I didn't have that secret sauce. Man. Could not disagree more. Into the Breach, I think, is probably my the biggest influence on my personal project. I love Into the Breach. Into the Breach really like opened my eyes about like how precise and like discrete a strategy game can be. Like outside of abstract real life strategy games like chess and checkers, like almost no computer strategy games have the like discrete chunkiness of the resources that Into the Breach has. I love it. One of my least favorite parts about Slay the Spire is that this number is 64. That's just a big number. Once you start like multiplying things by like 0.25 and 0.5 and 3 and stuff, like the math gets really complicated just because the number systems are so big. But I love Into the Breach. Second Cold Snap, second Streamline. I think we're no on both of those. I think we're just gonna skip here. Equilibrium's pickable, but I don't see any reason why it's super good with quite a few defensive tools. So we'll pass. Distill Chaos is interesting, but we have some really good potions for the boss fight, so I think we're just gonna roll with that. I always end up with too low health against Hexaghost, and he kills me. So that's a concern. But I kind of want to upgrade the hologram. Spire lets you use your health as a resource, which is really valuable in my opinion. If you can't do that, the defense becomes the best option bar none. But like, you can defend yourself by killing the enemy, right? I don't know, I don't disagree. Like, the only hit point that matters is your last one, right? So defend lets you hang out at 1 hit point forever. Let's smith up the hologram. I'm feeling a little bit bold here. Might die to Hexaghost. Alright, 2 strikes and Charge Battery seems great. Ooh, Genetic Algorithm coming in on the big turn. Let's go ahead and drink the deck spot so Genetic Algorithm walks out. And then double defect anyway. I was probably drinking the deck spot no matter what. Didn't need to drink it there. think I like streamline Cold Snap, which blocks out. I don't need the focus spot right now, so I won't use it. Well, that's exactly my point, OmniCloud, is that rather than thinking about it as making all the numbers proportionately smaller, you should think about these numbers as being proportionately inflated, right? Like, if I had 3 hit points and he had, what would it be? 12? Each hit point is 20. No, you have 13. If I had 3 hit points and he had 13, all the numbers could be basically the same, but they would be a lot easier to think about, which I think is way better. It's not that it doesn't matter, it's that it matters a lot. Because this 6, like 211 minus 6 is just inherently a harder thing to think about than like 10 minus 1. And like obviously it would be extremely difficult to rework Slay the Spire to like have a smaller number system, because Slay the Spire has had a lot of work go into balancing it precisely about how it is balanced currently. But I think that's just a better number system. Let's hologram the... Never mind. I thought we could hologram the streamline. We can't. I guess maybe we can. Draw a streamline? Nope. Alright, I'll just double stroke them. Alright, there's the streamline. No point in dual casting. Strike doesn't do anything. We are blocked out. Whatever. We have not been drawing that that hologram at the right time. I guess I'll zap here. We need the damage pretty badly. There's also a scope that larger numbers give. If the heart had 80 HP instead of 800, it wouldn't always feel so impressive to kill, at least in my mind. No, it absolutely would. So actually, if you have smaller numbers, you can give more context to what a big number means, right? So if normal enemies have 5 hit points, then you can represent that as like 5 little bars on their UI. And then when you get to the heart and he has 80 hit points and it's like 4 lines that are all the way full, you're like, oh my god, he's got so much health, right? Like, it has way more visual impact than just like adding a 0 at the end. Adding a 0 at the end is just like, it's nothing, right? But increasing the physical size of the UI element by 10 times, that's impressive. Let's try to draw Holler. How do we sorry, we need to like survive this turn, huh? So I guess like Cool-Headed and Cold Snap are probably happening. And like maybe hologram. Nope, no hologram. I wonder how the resource pull is on that. I doubt it's much. I don't know what you mean. If normal enemies have 5 HP though, then your attacks have to do fractions of a point of damage. No. Your attacks do 1 damage. Yeah. If you use fractions, then you're kicking the can down the road. Another upside of having really small numbers is that if an enemy has 4 hit points and your attacks do 1 damage, then you never have the problem where it's like your enemies have 27 health or 28 health and you do 9 damage, and you're like, it seems like I should kill them in 3 attacks, but they end up with 1 health. So like, it makes you do all kinds of silly math. You think the sizing of the health bars in Slay the Spire isn't completely arbitrary? Of course not. I mean, they're sized roughly proportionate to the size of the enemy is the main concern, but the enemy sizes are bigger for more important enemies. So our max block here is Cold Snap Defend. Do we survive that? We get 7 block from Cold Snap, 8 block at the end of turn, that's 15. 17 plus 15 plus 7 is 39. He's hitting us for 36 plus 2 is 38. So we do survive, if only just. Okay. Now, I will give large number systems a point of credit here, because being at 1 out of 64 is much more inherently stressful than being at 1 out of 4, right? 1 out of 4 is like, I'm at a quarter of my health, and you're still 1 hit from being dead, but it feels more like, whatever, I can handle this. Whereas 1 out of 64 is like, I'm sweating. I guess we'll just hologram double defect. I presume that's enough block. We're gonna need a bunch of damage here, because we can't block, I don't think. No, maybe we can. If we dual cast this, it blocks for 14, and this blocks for 4 at the end of the turn. 14 plus 4 is 18, so we cannot block for enough because he's hitting for 18. This is for 4 and kill us. So we die. Max damage is this, it's not enough. Like in this situation, if you had a smaller numbering system and you played Defend over Orichalcum and didn't save Scum, you would just be dead here. I mean, what's your point? you can make mistakes in any number system. I am dead. I guess we didn't get enough damage. I'm not really sure. I guess hold on. Let me eulogize this run a little bit. What went wrong here? We never managed to line up hologram streamline, I think is the real problem. We kept drawing hologram like right on the turn when we shuffled, or we drew it before streamline. But I think that's just like a problem with picking hologram streamline, right? Like we invested a ton of resources. We invested 2 cards and both upgrades into hologram streamline. And the fact that it can just like not work maybe means that we shouldn't rely on it as much. Could have picked a second cold snap. We were offered 3 cold snaps. It's true. We also didn't. We were way too slow, right? Because you want to kill Hexaghost before the 36 damage second attack, so we just needed more damage. But we kind of talked about that already with the streamline hologram thing, right? Like that's supposed to be most of the damage. Flash of Steel was kind of a suspicious pickup because we spent $100 on something that only did like 6 damage. Thoughts on skipping Bullseye? Probably should have taken it. One of those two probably should have been a take. We also were offered a compile driver, and at the time we only had the zap. But if we picked the compile driver, we would have drawn into Streamline a lot more, and it would have done damage itself. So I think we probably should have done that. Yeah, Streamline is not a good pickup. We picked up Streamline on, I believe, floor 2. Oh no, it was floor 3. When we were still like, we needed damage. We thought for a while we were going to do 4 Elite Act 1, because we started with Black Star. So the Streamline seemed like a necessary pick, but didn't quite get there.